Okay. How's this? Alrighty. How's my sound? Great. Well, I'm only listening. All I'm hearing is. Oh, I know what to do. Now I got it. I was using. I had an extra screen going that was the screen on my cell phone. I was watching the Ustream on my cell phone also, so my cell phone was actually multitasking. My bad. Jacques, thank you so much for having me. I love what you're doing. Just, I. By the way, what year did you start Filmmakers Alliance? Wow. So I moved from Chicago to Los Angeles in 1998 and started joining every networking organization I could, and and got to know you and your organization probably shortly thereafter. So probably around '99 or 2000. You've been doing good stuff. Oh, thank you for asking. Well, you're seeing some of it back here. That's the kitchenette area back behind my desk area. I'm facing the studio area, which is about 60 by 20 feet. Got about 2,100 square feet, and it's a similar vision to Filmmakers Alliance in the sense of creating a community space where we can all share skills and resources. But it's very particular in terms of the kinds of projects that we're working on and kinds of people we're working with. Um, and I like to call it higher purpose intention because I was raised to be, and I've always been just the sort of person that's trying to make the world a better place with everything I do. And if I'm not really excited to do it. Um, so sexuality actually plays into that because there's so much repression and misinformation that's been passed on for, I don't know, at least hundreds of years. Well, as a what I call an omnimedia production facility, and we're really still just getting rolling. Um, we're doing photography, film, which is video, really, at this point, and music production, and some live events and videography and just a whole host of productions, and also functioning as an art gallery. So I've basically created a space that could house all the different sorts of things I'm interested in. Isn't that what we all do? so um, whatever sorts of projects seem to be the most harmonious with helping and healing as many people as possible and doing it in a fun way, uh, that's what we're about. Well, this Saturday, I got to know a year to 2 years ago, somewhere around there. I got to know Rai, who you spoke to earlier. I was glad to introduce you guys. And I got to know him through one of the gals he was dating. And as I got to know, what's that? Right, one of the several, but only a few at a time. It's as you guys were saying moments ago. There's only so much time in the day, or in the week, or the month, or the year. So as I got to know Rai, I found that I really admired his fearless approach to communicating about sexuality, and his wisdom and insight, and just a whole lot of things about his skills and his personality. So I wanted to start collaborating with him, and we started, getting to know each other and figuring out how that could work. So this is the first time that one of his non-monogamy fora, is being hosted at a different place than his own space. So this is the first time. And now the last time I did videotaping, set up a couple of cameras and microphones and videotaped his interview with a porn actress who goes by the name of Siri, and her husband, who, one might say he hires men to be intimate on camera with his wife as her pornography director. And that was an interesting conversation. We'll see how long the relationship lasts. Well, this coming Saturday, I don't know if we're videotaping or what we're videotaping, but we did it at the last one. I get you now. Sorry, I missed that one. Yeah, it's really all of the above, and thanks for catching that. People are really, welcome to share their experiences, to learn from others, to ask questions. Sexuality is so undereducated, especially in terms of subtle intimacy issues, and communication topics. That where do you go? If you get your education from schools, parents, internet, religion, it's all kind of skewed depending upon the slant of who wants to promulgate their point of view. So here's an opportunity where people from all sorts of perspectives, which tend to be generally a bit more liberal than average. We haven't seen any, arch conservative Christians coming in telling us, "Oh, we're going to hell." So, but yeah, everything's welcome. And I hope I'm answering your question. Sure. Well, like you, my parents were lifetime monogamists, and probably were actually they're each other's only lovers. Although, given the strength of the Catholic programming that I was given, they probably never have told me if that was not the case. Um, so, as far as I could tell, my parents were the most genuine paragons of integrity that I've ever experienced, and extremely honest and genuinely believed in and adhered to their Catholic faith. So the only reason that I did happen to notice that condoms were in use, and you know, as far as I know, the Pope still hasn't gone back on that no condoms thing, and it's a little bit late on that one. Is because if my mother had had one more pregnancy, she had several miscarriages. The last one, when I was 4 years old, was a full-term stillbirth, and if she'd gotten pregnant again, it probably would have killed her. So they opted for condoms instead of death. So I was raised with that whole very Catholic and very honestly proposed perspective. I'm an only child. My parents died 5 years ago, and died about 5 years ago. 07 and 08. I had moved them from Chicago actually to the Valley in 2003. So I sold the only house that any of us, well, at least that I'd been raised in. It was built in 1952. Sold that house, got a place in the Valley, and moved my parents out here to take care of them. And Dad died in 4 years, and Mom another 9 months after. And by the way, they were so close. This is a little bit unusual, but they each died of a stroke. Not just the same type of stroke in the same area of the brain, but in the exact same vein. And they both were with me at the time in the Valley, and I took, called 911, took them to Tarzana Hospital, dealt with the same doctors, and they're like, that's not unusual, that's impossible. Like, yeah, I'm kind of not surprised. They and I also were really that close. So how does that all fit in? Well, I would occasionally hear from down the hall in this, two flat and very, very nice, upper middle class, but middle class. But I would hear through my parents' doorway, I'd hear them making love, and it was the nicest sound ever. I would, if I was awake late at night, I'd kind of listen and hear that they sounded like they were enjoying each other. And how old I was at that time, I'm not sure. There was never any shame about walking around the house naked or being nude in the bathroom or something together. But at the same time, sexuality was never discussed. And I don't think parents have any sense of when or is a child evolving from one point to another. And we make presumptions that there's some point at which you become an adult or an adolescent or mature or whatever. I don't know what age I was that my parents were being more naked around me, or when they started closing their door. I don't know. It's all, it's all kind of amorphous. We are ever evolving beings. But at any rate, at some point, I realized I was not going to have children, that my life path was going to be a bit slower, and I wasn't going to be chasing profit to the extent that I was going to be able to raise children the way I would like to. And I told my parents, I was either still in college as a film major. I had transferred from mechanical engineering into film at Northwestern University. And I said, I don't think I'm going to have children. And as I say, I was either still in college or just out. And I was realizing that my life path was going to go slow, and I needed all my resources and time for career and personal evolution. And my mom actually said, what did we do wrong? And I said, you didn't do anything wrong. You taught me reality, and and I have an understanding of finances and priorities, and it's just not going to happen. And she was mildly disappointed, but then just kind of accepted. She was surprised when she walked in on the when they came back early from a Christmas party, and I was 21 with my first lover in the shower. So that one surprised him a little bit. Oh my goodness, our son has a sex life at 21. Heaven forbid. So yeah. So as I realized that I had to get over this guilt that I was programmed with, and that not everyone had it, um, then I wanted to start exploring more of life. And eventually I met a girlfriend out here in Los Angeles who was more progressive. In fact, when we met at Miss Kitty's parlor, she told me she was bisexual, and I was calling to talk to her roommate, and eventually her roommate would just kind of talk to me briefly and then hand the phone off to the other girl. So finally she said, I think I like you as more than just a friend. And I said, how's that going to work? You said you're gay. Um, and then she revealed that, well, I wasn't always gay. Uh-huh. Okay. So she was exploratory and had had a polyamorous relationship previously. And so I said, well, what would you think about joining this website and exploring and meeting some of these people? And so over the course of that 3-year relationship, my longest, which overlapped with the end of my parents' lives, and then so they died during the course of that relationship. And so I was beginning to explore that and get to know a lot of people in the polyamory community and the swingers community. And although we didn't play with anyone, my girlfriend was very health cautious, and so am I. Um, we got to know a lot of people, and so that's why I've been able to introduce people to each other, and help people learn and evolve and discover, as I did, that there's not just one set of rules. Um, yeah. Uh, well, realizing that there's no rule book, really, that forces anyone to uh, date, get married, have an exclusively monogamous relationship, and children, and have that one relationship last for the rest of your life. So my evolution personally involved looking at other possibilities and other ways of being. Does that make sense? I've often seen myself as a catalyst. I love introducing people with, and that's why I like to get to know each person pretty deeply, so that then I've got this database in my head and somewhere on computers of you know a resource that someone might benefit from. So so as a catalyst, as a networker, I can bring people together and they can learn, and learning brings evolution. Excellent. Great. Well, the first thing I would say is that we all come from goddess. We all grew up in a woman, in a mother's womb, and respecting, um, as Dolphina was expressing earlier today, um, respecting and honoring the woman's uh, right to choose and be um, and have a pleasurable life and be honored at the same time as the male also being honored. And there's a lot of interesting things we could talk about if we had more time about how those dominant roles work back and forth and what it is to, as Dolphina was saying, what it is to be a dominant male, which is, I would put simply, one's role as an alpha male is to uh, be a leader of men and a protector of women, um, and to empower women uh, to make choices and experience as much pleasure and joy in life as possible, and to not judge and restrain women's ability in that regard. The whole guilt, shame, blame thing is taught very early in life. Ooh, don't do that. Don't touch yourself. Don't do that in public. It's naughty. It's bad. Because parents aren't trained to how to teach children about that. Then that gets reinforced by mass media, government, and religion. And it's just not sustainable, and it's led to a whole lot of unhealthy behavior in general societally that I just think we could do well to transcend. So our event on Saturday, you can go to the event page on Facebook straight through my website that's still in development. So right now it's redirecting, polywana.com. So poly, P-O-L-Y, or P-O-L-L-Y if you feel like it. Or pardon me, no, it's P-O-L-Y-W-A-N-N-A.com. Polywana.com will take you to the event on Saturday. And you can RSVP and come on out and learn. And then later in the evening, it's going to get, kind of fun and playful and nightclubby, and that'll be going on. Awesome. Thank you, Jacques. Thank you. Keep up the good work.